Hi everyone, Charlene Bauer, Ladies Opera Network, and we are live at 5 on a Tuesday. I know, it's like the same sentence every week. It's like Groundhog Day, but I just have to say it because, well, you never know. If this is your first one, that's exciting, and I can't wait for you to experience this chaos that we have in order for us today. But first, a couple of hellos. Make sure everybody is saying your hellos as you come in, and I want to thank Cody and Esther and a few other ladies that have done so much fun in coloring their February coloring calendar. How is it almost the end of February already again? Like, I don't understand where the time goes. Cody sat our entire family down. We have the whole family outline of coloring, which is so much fun on the group page. And if you haven't done it yet, of course you still can. Of course you can. I also just sent out a bunch of emails, and trust me, I got more on my list for tonight. So if you feel overwhelmed, it's not over yet. Hey, at least I warned you, right? So get to your coloring. If you're a Toyota lady, that's what we're looking for. We're going to do a Toyota next month. It's going to be fun. So make sure that you get your Toyota submitted by tomorrow. We pushed the deadline out just a little bit because I know there's more Toyota ladies than what took the time to do it on our social media. So that's in there. Get that done. Let's have some fun. This is what it's all about right here. I know. WhatsApp. We chat on WhatsApp every single day in different categories. There's always a chat running in WhatsApp as far as Ladies Opera Network is concerned. So if you are one of our members, watch for that email tonight-ish, meaning maybe tomorrow-ish. But we're putting them all together to make sure that you have access to all the WhatsApps. It's been a little bit of a gap since maybe you've had that email and maybe you've logged yourself out of WhatsApp, or you never really got into it, or life has changed and now you have time for it. Trust me, I understand. Sometimes you're like, I can't do any more online. I come and go. I ebb and flow also, ladies. I ebb and flow also. But I'm on there most all the time and paying attention. I may not always comment, but I always pay attention to what's happening and make sure that if you guys have questions, we're ready to help you out. But a lot of times the other ladies are working on there and having fun and showing off their awesomeness of what they've been doing in their off-road world also. So that's happening. If you're not familiar with WhatsApp, download it now. It's super easy. It's kind of like I hate to say it, kind of like Facebook Messenger, but it's not, because you don't have to be on Facebook. You don't have to be on Instagram. You don't have to be anywhere. It's its own independent thing. It's not like it's a group chat and text message that somebody can't come and go with. So we'll make sure that you guys get up in understanding that there's a lot more groups than potentially just one, and there's different categories as well. So that is on our list. Also on our list, the March 5-day events are here. I know. Like I said, where's the time going? No more talking about I want to. It's now I am, ladies. So make sure that you got yourself signed up. We have one next week. Seriously. I'm in a massive cleaning moment. Let me tell you about it. In fact, I'm going to tell you about it in a minute, because today is motivational, inspirational, or maybe you're just going to call me straight up crazy. I'm not sure which one, but we're going to get there in a moment. 5 days. Skills Camp starts next week, and then we have one at the end of March as well. All right, so we have 2 coming up, and then we have 2 in October also. Jump in. Things are changing, so we want to make sure that you guys get your skills camps in. That's a great opportunity to get your hands behind the wheel, right? It's not just like a external class of here, we're going to talk about it and we're going to do a little bit. No, this is a big bit. This is the big bit. This is not your little bits. This is your bigger bits. That's a weird word. Work with me on that. All right. And then Saturday socials. I sent out an email about that as well. We're still looking for hostesses. If you'd like to have a hostess moment within your area, if you want to meet other ladies within your area, please take the opportunity to become a hostess. And I'm going to be posting the March ones next week. It is time. It's time. So we have a few. We might have a couple more. I'm not really sure. Don't wait. If you want to do it, please do it. It's very thankful, and you will have a great time. You will be very surprised at the reward that comes out of it. you by no means are on your own. I am right there with you, literally. I will be online the entire time. We have a game that we will be playing across the country at every single one of the events, and so it'll be a ton of fun. If it happens that you cannot host one, if it happens that you can't go anywhere, if it happens that you still don't feel comfortable going anywhere, we will have an online one going as well. Probably will not be the same as if you're in person, as we all know how the online situation works. But hey, online is better than nothing in my opinion, so we're going to still offer that as an option and a solution for you to feel comfortable. I don't want to exclude anybody by that means at all. But our goal is right now is to get out of our house and to be going out and having fun with our off-road friends in our local area. So I hope that that will work out for you and we can make that happen. So those are our check. Do it. Ladies Off-Road Network's on the gas. Okay. Are you guys ready? Because there's a lot of chaos going on in the background. And I just wanted to share it with you. Like, in the last, well, let's start with this. I don't want to run off my notes because honestly, I just want to talk from my heart right now because I know that there's a lot going on in a lot of people's worlds. And I'm not deflective of any of it. I might just look at things a little bit differently. You might look at things a little bit differently. We all look at things a little bit differently, which makes us who we are, right? So throw a heart for that first, as we are who we are, and that's what it's all about. But I'm very self-reflective, and I call myself out on things probably more than I should. I don't know, maybe I should be a little kinder to myself, but recently I've been filing. So we all have our New Year's goals, right, and everything, and last year, you guys know, one of my goals was to be able to clean out my closet, which, by the way, still hasn't happened. That's not part of this grand story right now. But what I did decide at the beginning of January is I have two things that I'm going to do. I'm going to go and get the filing done. Like, there's a bunch of paper, and it drives me crazy, and it's just like, everywhere. I'm going to get my filing done. And then I got to clean out the garage, the little room off the garage that has all your guys' gifts in it and everything, because it was out of control. Like, I would buy a bunch of stuff and throw it in there and everything was not organized, and I needed to get it organized so other people can ship and, well, whatever. So those are my two goals. So what I did is I tore the entire place apart. The green screen room turned into paper everywhere. Like, literally, you could not walk into it. You couldn't hardly even open the door. Like, you had to open the door over paper and then close the door over paper. Yeah. And then the garage, if you guys have been here, you know that it's actually pretty nice and pretty clean and pretty under control. Yeah, it was not that. It was not that at all. Not that at all. It's a disaster. I'm still saying it's a disaster because it's not put together yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But here's some of the pieces that I felt while I was doing this. I mean, there's the moment in time, but think about it. Like, you're filing stuff and I'm running across these papers because I had to sort out to be able to add more, right? And I've been in the industry for 27 years, but I've been in my business now for almost 15. And I looked at myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, Charlene, you used to be such a badass. I literally said that to myself. I'm like, wow, you used to be such a badass. Like, look at what you used to do. I used to do these flyers, these 4-page flyers. This one was all about the Rubicon. This is the 60th anniversary. This is 10 years ago. We're going on the 70th anniversary this year, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, these were so cool. And these were part of our Shirt and Swag Club, a club that we used to do before. I'm like, oh, that's so rad. And then I ran across the calendars that I used to do, right? Used to be a badass. And so, like, here's the 2013 calendar. That's actually the Rubicon. These are some of my clients that I used to do PR work for, right? All my pictures, nobody else's pictures. We used to have every single one of the off-road events that was happening. We would host every single one of those in print, which, let me tell you what happens when they're not in print anymore. or when they go into print and then everything, the world changes. Here's the coloring calendars. These are the original coloring calendars in 2015. I started them in 2014. It was based around the kids, so every day had its own name. National Bird Day, Cuddle Up Day, Old Rock Day. We used to have all kinds of fun with these. Put in different words, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh. I used to be so cool. There used to be so much going on. But I'm like, really, Charlene, give yourself some credit. Because remember in 2020, what happened? I used to have a Ladies Off-Road Network awesome print calendar that you got in the mail. And it had everything that was on it. And it had all kinds of motivational things. Like, it was mellow, but it was different. And it was Ladies Off-Road Network. And then everything went out the window. And everything had to change. And then I went through the other filing cabinet. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all these ideas. Like, all these great things. Like, there's, I looked at the filing cabinet. I'm like, wow, there's $1 million worth of great ideas right here. I wish I had enough time to execute them all. I wish I had enough opportunity to execute them. I wish we had this to execute, right? And I was just beating myself up as I was filing. Just filing paper. I know. Do you ever get there? I know you do. I know we all do. There's something that triggers you into that beat up moment. And it might be a picture. It might be going through pictures. It might be filing. In my case, it's filing. It might be cleaning something up. It might be going to a certain place. It might be a fear that you used to have, or that maybe you still have, or you're like, oh my gosh, I used to be able to do this until this happened. And then everything went crazy. Sometimes you can find that deciding point of when this happened and everything went crazy. Sometimes you can't find the deciding point. Sometimes you can't understand. Relationships, look at relationships. Like, you know, you were in a marriage and then all of a sudden this mix-up happened and you got divorced, and now you're trying to figure out what this new person is, what this new life looks like, what this new action looks like. And all these things that were in your filing cabinet from before are sitting there, and you're like, well, I used to be able to do this, and I used to be able to do this, and I used to be able to do this, and I did do that, and I did do that. And you know what? It doesn't really matter. Because what you're doing right now is just as badass as what you were doing back then. It's just different. Some of you are in the mix of having a career and now retiring. Some of you are in the mix of your kids are in your house full time and now they're not. Like, everything changes and everything is different. And you look at these two categories and go, wow, I used to be a badass. I used to be able to manage all kinds of things. Maybe you have a health issue. That's a really hard one, right? Because it's a physical moment of saying, I used to be a badass. But guess what? You are still 100% a badass. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. I'm still a badass. Everybody right now, say it. Say it to yourself. Type it in. Actually, type it in. That's even better. Type it in. I am a badass. Because every single person on here right now is a badass. And it just depends on your category of your world right now of what makes you that. Like, we're doing such big things here at Ladies Off-Road Network. I mean, look at what we just pulled off in the last 2 months. And for me to say, just because of this print material, I'm not a badass anymore? Come on, Charlene. Give yourself a little bit of credit. I don't see the I'm a badasses yet. There you go. Come on. Here they come. Here they come. Sometimes we have to go backwards in order to go forward. Sometimes, hours ago, I was beating myself up because we just undid a project that we had done about a year ago. And I'm like, man, it's so frustrating. But the project that we have that's replacing it right now is so much more badass than what we had done. I'm like, I just have to keep breathing through this right now because I know that I can get past it. I know that this was a smaller me and this one's a much bigger me. That's what I'm telling myself right now. It's still fresh. You see how you have to self-talk though? Like, you have to self-talk all the time because nobody else really understands what's going on. There's not a lot of people that understands what's going on behind your walls. It's not just my walls, it's your walls. You have walls up also. We all have our walls up. We all are building walls daily of what we feel is right and wrong. That's that whole situation of saying, hold on, time out, right? But you have to build that wall, and then you have to understand, I'm going to be a badass within the wall, and I'm going to show everybody that I am also. And that's that strength. That's the shoulders back. That's the saying I can. That's the saying I used to be, but I am. We can't live in the used to be's as much as some of us want to. We can't. We are. And we are who we are today. And I was talking to somebody today about filing, and she actually, it was funny because I'm like, hey, how are you today? Just a random call out of the blue. You guys know this. I do this every once in a while. You guys get calls from me. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And the person's like, well, I'm filing right now. And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, really? Interesting. Those are my words too. It was kind of funny. Like, it was a random moment. And her mindset out of all of the filing came out of, I needed to do it because I'm distracted right now. There's a lot going on. And I think that me just getting this filing done is also something like filing everything in my head. It's pulling it all back together again. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody has a different reflection and viewpoint of ourselves. We just have to allow ourselves the time out, the moment to say, it's okay, and I'm going to figure this out. Where do I sit with this conversation? How am I going to make myself better because of this conversation? Constantly going. So that's one thing that's happened. But here's another thing that's happened. And this is going to be an interesting conversation. This has absolutely nothing to do with Ladies Off-Road Network at all. At all. Has nothing to do with me other than self-reflection, right? Self-reflection is always the key. Unfortunately, I've watched somebody kind of get attacked, not kind of get attacked, fully get attacked online. And it's somebody that's at the top. And it's a hard place to be. Many of you are business owners. Many of you are at the top of your ring. Many of you are managers. Many of you are leaders in a particular environment. Even a coach, even somebody that's leading anything. And all of a sudden, somebody comes and attacks you. Truth, not truth, independent, not independent, doesn't matter. Honestly, it really does not matter. But they attack you. And they attack you in a public space, and it's like, hold on. There's not even anything I can do to protect myself in this manner. I've been under many attacks. Many recently, and many a long time ago. It's been a constant battle of attacks. A female in a male-dominated industry makes it very interesting for me, right? And being in a business owner position makes it very interesting for me. You're trying to make the best decisions that you can at every corner, and then yet you get attacked. And I had somebody yesterday, before this whole incident went down that I saw online, somebody yesterday called me and say, hey, this is an incident that I had with a friend. She's making an assumption. It's wrong. What happens if she goes public with it? Right? I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, breathe it out. Tell me what's going on. She's crying. It's very upsetting. It's very challenging. And I had to hang up because I had to go on to my next meeting. And I'm like, all right, I'll call you back. I'll let you know when I'm done. So we followed up the call today, actually, after this other incident happened. I'm like, take a time out and think about this. And here's the reflection moment. There's the background. Here's the reflection moment. If somebody was going to attack you online, what would they say about you? Last night, I wasn't feeling well. I got these freaking allergies going on. We got pressure change going on here. I don't know if your heads do anything with pressure changes, but mine sure does. And last night, with all of that, and my head just splitting, I wrote a list of 4 things. I'm like, if somebody really wanted to attack me, here's the 4 things that they would say. And I texted it off to one of my friends, and she's like, yep, that's pretty much it. I'm like, can you think of anything else? Right? Like, submit the list. I'm not telling you to submit the list. I'm like, okay, what is it? And I'm like, these are the 4 things. And of those 4 things, I'm like, this one I need to deal with. And right? So there's things that you could get attacked for that you're like, no, those are my value systems. That's how the business works. That's what's happening. And this is something that you have to think about yourself. Like if somebody was to attack me as a leader, as somebody that's heading something up, as a business owner, as a group leader, it doesn't matter, right? Like even just running a simple church group, anything. What would those be? And what are your value systems? And what is something you can change? And I think if we really analyze ourselves and you do a good job at it, there's one thing in there that you could probably change. I know I have one thing I'm going to change. Something I've been after changing for a long time, but it just gives you more and more and more motivation in order to do it. Like, see that thing that's happening. How do you avoid this situation? How do you make sure that everything can be handled in the best way possible? Lots to think about, right? Lots to think about. But it does not mean, by any means, that you're not a badass. Let's reflect. Every single person just said, I'm a badass, and I'm trying to do the best I can. And that is the point, is you are a badass. We were, we are. We were, we are. And you can be, you are. But how can we be just that much better to where we don't put ourselves in a situation that can turn into a big rumble? And that question from yesterday's call to the situation that I saw happen, to me reflecting on myself first, and then me taking the time to call her back and the two of us to really push it out from her perspective. And I used myself. I told her my 4 things on my list. She couldn't add any either, thank goodness, right? But think about that. Like, how can you look at your list? And she's like, well, everybody always gives me positive feedback. Everybody always tells me great things. And I'm like, yeah. Everybody gives me positive feedback too. But are we not listening to the one person? Are we not understanding or willing to look at this one piece that maybe we can do better about ourselves? And that's where I beat myself up on all the time, is I can't always see that one piece. I can always do better. I can always make things bigger, better, badasser, right? That's my personality trait, which can also hinder a person, because you're like, well, let's make it bigger. Well, let's make it bigger. Well, here's another idea. There's $1 million worth of ideas in that cabinet over there. We're all my people. Let's execute some stuff, right? So, some interesting reflections in the last 24 hours. I felt that it would be fun to just share that with you. And it's nothing negative at all. Just something where hopefully I can leave you with something to think about, right? Something to think about. You look at your past, you look at your future. I looked at a lot of pictures from me and my friends from 15 years ago where my face was this skinny. And now it's not. Right? We're all getting older. I don't know if you caught the middle-age thing, but my friend, okay, here's the story behind that, because this is pretty hysterical, is we went to the grocery store, just the 3 of us. Before we went, like, I had already packed all kinds of food, and we'd already decided just to go out. And we went to the grocery store, and everything that we put in the cart was bad. Like, we started in the bakery, we had these huge cinnamon rolls, and then we got cookies, and then we got this, and we got that. Like, every single thing that was in this cart was bad for you. And I know my mom is watching right now, and I didn't eat it all, Mom. It was a 3-way deal here. And so I took this picture of this cart before we put the strawberries in there, and I hid the vegetables under something else that was bad, just so that it would really depict what we were doing. And I sent the picture to our little group, the 3 of us, just with an LOL. Well, that night, my friend goes and posts this picture online on Facebook and says, when 3 middle-aged women, are allowed to go to the grocery store by themselves for a vacation. And I read it and I kind of laughed, and I'm like, middle-aged? What are you talking about? I'm not middle-aged. And it wore on me until about the next afternoon when something popped up, and I didn't go ape. I just went like, I'm not middle-aged, by the way. I don't really appreciate you calling me middle-aged in that comment. Like, what are you talking about? And next thing I know, she's like, Charlene, well, let's do some simple math here. Like, you know, this is how old you are, and this is the expectancy of life. And so, well, you're pretty much middle-aged. And I'm like, but I'm not middle-aged. I don't understand what you're talking about. I am young. I'm healthy. I can outrun these kids these days. Like, yeah, we're all changing. This was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I know. It's crazy. I don't even understand that. Right? Some of you have kids. I don't have kids to like account for how middle-aged we are. But I mean, this was a long time ago. My friend who, we were all 5 years apart, 40, 45, I'm the 45, and then 50. So poor 50-year-old, because she can get senior discounts now, she got called pre-senior citizen. I'm like, oh my Lord, this is just getting aggressive. And it was all in fun. We were all in fun, and this comment is all in fun too. Like, nobody leave this right now thinking, oh my God, she just called me middle-aged. Well, maybe, but I'm trying to deal with it too. So let's just start focusing on it. And focus on, it's okay because we were badass in this chapter. We can still be, and we are badass in this chapter. And how can we take those one or two things that maybe we challenge ourselves with, or maybe other people see as a challenge that truly is a challenge. Now, it's one thing if it's your value system. If it's your value system, don't change it. You stick to your values, girl. You stay focused on those values at 100%. Don't change them. But if there's something there that's pushing you off just a little bit, and you know it too, figure out that how, figure out that why, figure out the what you're going to do in order to make sure that you can find how you can push that one off of that list, right? And say, you know what? That's what we're going to focus on this year. Bonnie just popped in. I keep seeing you guys posting, and I appreciate that. Make sure you keep seeing it. Is intentional. Her word is intentional. We had a great conversation last week, right? Intentional. Every single thing you do should be intentional. Is what you're doing intentional? It's a great conversation. It's a great word. How can we be better? How can we make that filing cabinet not worth $1 million worth of ideas, but $500,000 worth of ideas, because we took the others and we were able to intentionally execute it? You guys, I've already threatened you with a bunch of awesome things that are changing this year, right? A bunch of things that are going to happen, a bunch of things that we have started. We started the foundation, the Ladies Offered Foundation, which is such a project, such an undertaking, and is really developing itself into something amazing, which I can hardly wait to share with you. Yes, we're quiet about it right now because we're building processes, and we're building what exactly it is so that we can go out there with you. We're building the Ladies RV Network, which is awesome. There's so many things that are happening in the background right now, but everything is intentional, and that I 100% agree with. That is true. You know, and there's some things that don't happen. There's some things that don't happen. And I have to trust in timing. I have to trust in the process. Some of you hate my words when I say trust in the process. You just got to get there. You got to trust in the process. It'll happen. It'll be okay. And I'm the first one to tell you, I hate that advice. I hate it. I hate it. I'm like, but I can just steamroll it right now and we can just get right through it. I even used that with the conversation I had on Saturday. I'm like, I know, I'm trying to take a deep breath. Like, I can absolutely steamroll this right now, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to. Right? How many of you out there have the opportunity to steamroll something, but is that the right thing to do? So lots of conversations right now, lots of thought processes going on right now, lots of things happening. I still have some people that are really challenged with COVID and getting out and being around people. I think that there's a very interesting mental moment across the country that's still happening. And how you need to work with that is in your hands right now, because everybody is on a different page in that scene. Everybody's in a different page with their change that's happened over the last 2 years. There is change. It's consistent. There's nothing that is going to go back to the way it was. It's going to be a different piece of what it was. And so you can do that. You can absolutely do that. You can be successful. 100%. All right. Everybody feel better? Or did I just stir up some stuff? I know. Nobody wants to go file anything anymore, do they? Imagine what you might find if you file. Yeah, be careful about that. I'm about ready to throw all the paper back behind the walls and say, okay, we're done filing. Over it. Let me just put these nice little things back away, and then we will come back to some print material here hopefully soon again. You never know. What grand ideas can I pull out of this cupboard that has all these ideas in it, and can we put to work? Don't worry, we already are. I guarantee it. Ladies Opera Network is going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to have a great time. I'm a badass. You are a badass. Everybody here is a badass. Don't forget, doesn't matter the chapter that you're in, the moment that you're in, the minute that you're in, the focus that you're on, the downslope that you feel that you might be on. You're still a badass, and you can still make every change that you want to change, and you can still do anything that you want to do. It just takes that moment, it takes a team, it takes a group. That's what we have Ladies Opera Network for. And it comes back into the WhatsApp chats and being a participant of those and understanding that you have that focus behind you and that you have the care behind you and you have the people behind you. We got you. We got you. Get to one of these 5-day opportunities here in March. Let's do this one-on-one. Let's hang out in the boardroom. Let's laugh about filing, or let's not bring it up at all. Better plan. It's over. I'm done with it. And let's have a great time. Let's learn something. You know, that's also a major part of it. Like, you're here to learn. You're here to be a bigger, better, badasser off-roader than you already are. We're all stepping up. We're all taking a step up every single day. That's our goal. So part of Ladies Opera Network is that being one of your goals, which is very exciting. All right. Everybody throw a heart. Yes. Yes. And off-roading does make you feel badass, does it not? Come on. You know it does. Throw an O face if it makes you feel badass. Yeah, that one. Everybody knows it. Here they come. Here comes the O faces. All right, nice job. See, look at all you badasses. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Well, I am proud of every single one of you. Every one of you has a niche. Every single person has a niche. Every single person has a place. Every single person is successful. You be successful in your chapter right now, whatever it is. Don't focus on the past. Don't focus on negative. Don't focus on anything. We focus forward. We focus badass. We focus bigger, better, badasser, right? That's our goal for this year. That's it. All right, and I can't wait in order to do fun things with you. Let's do it. We got a lot going on in March. And Toyota ladies, this is your reminder. Get me your Toyotas. Now. Now. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. I appreciate you.